small child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simply evil.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
And I'm Miguel.
And the day today is Sunday, April 2nd. It is 8:53, and we have reached the end, kind of.
Have we really,
of Elm Street. Yeah, we haven't really reached the end, but this is the end of at least the original sequels to Wes Craven's 1984 classic, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is our live deep dive into Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare.
Golly, dude, that was more cringy than the freaking movie.
Yeah, this is a cringy one. When we started our deep dive into Nightmare on Elm Street, again, I've seen this franchise multiple times in its entirety, and I went in with an open mind because, for whatever reason, there are certain films that you look back on that you don't watch all the time. Like, some of the later Elm Street films are not they're not a Halloween 2 for me. They're not an Elm Street 1. They're not a Friday the 13th Part 4. Like, they're not a film that I want to go back and watch all the time. But I will say I went in with the mindset of like, oh, I'm going to give these a shot. And I'm going to think, okay, I'm going to keep an open mind. Maybe I will enjoy them a little bit more this time. Mm-hmm. And that was true for Elm Street 4 and 5. I actually walked away from Elm Street 4 and 5 like, I enjoyed watching those more than I ever have. And I think it was because I just kind of set the previous notions aside of like what I remembered of them from the last couple times I watched them, and I enjoyed them. Freddy's Dead was not the case. This movie it's my least favorite in the entire franchise.
Kind of the same as he did with like Resurrection. Like, you just came in telling me like, yeah, it was gonna suck.
This is the Halloween resurrection of the franchise for me. This is so the bottom of the barrel films for me of the big three. Jason X, I can't stand Jason X. I think Jason X sucks. Freddy's Dead also sucks. Halloween Resurrection doesn't quite as equally suck, but it's down there. Mm-hmm. It's down there with the rest of them.
It's down there, yeah.
So, I don't know, and I know we're probably going to get crap because I know there are diehard fans of Freddy's Dead, and that is perfectly okay. If you love Freddy's Dead, that's awesome. I'm glad you love Freddy's Dead. I do not. And there are good things in it. There are good moments. There are fun moments. There are things that I enjoy about it. But largely, it's just it doesn't as what it was supposed to be.
Dog water. That's it.
It was sloshing it all over the sidewalk as you walk the dog. No, but it just, for what it was meant to be, this was supposed to be kind of the epic conclusion, or at least that's what it was branded as, to the Nightmare on Elm Street saga. It just didn't do it for me. So, but Miguel, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I kind of figure we're gonna get into the good old shredding of this movie, so to speak. And honestly, in all regards, I mean, was this movie great? No, by any stretch of the means. It was literally trash script wise. I could say plenty of things about the actors and characters and plots and everything else, but is it a pretty funny and pretty decent Freddy movie?
It is pretty funny.
I would say, and they're good. One of those I enjoy. I just love watching Freddy kind of movies. You know what I mean? I'm not there for the plot.
Right, they're
there
good.
To watch Freddy, so I'd say this movie definitely has one of those. You're only there just to see Freddy kind of movie, and I mean, I'm not too mad about that. So he may have a different opinion as me, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed just watching the movie. I'll say that.
Yeah, there are good Freddy moments in it. That's not necessarily the issue. I enjoy some of the moments with him, but I think there are a few things that kind of bother me about it. They tried to basically rewrite not rewrite, but they tried to add things to his backstory that I don't think necessarily needed to be there. I think the idea of when you go back to the original intent of the character and you go back to Elm Street 1 and Elm Street 2, this idea that he was let's just call a spade, he was a child molester, he was a child murderer, he was a sexual predator. Well, I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, there's no like toying around with it. Yes, it's clear that he is of that nature.
Yeah, especially when we get to the remake. God, the remake, he's gross in the remake. Like, there's some little nasty.
Now, when you mean the remake, are you talking about like the mid 2010s remake, or are you talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about the 2010 remake.
New Nightmare
with what's her face? No, not New Nightmare. Okay. New Nightmare was what year did New Nightmare come out?
Like early
1994. Yeah, so New Nightmare came out a few years after this, 3 years after this. Yeah,
3
and that
years
was kind
after
of
this. Can you believe that? 3 years. Like,
well,
I can't even say, like, what do you think? How many years do you think it would have been, like, after like a supposed like end to a franchise for them to just be like, nope, we're gonna reboot it? Like, that's like,
well. It wasn't. I don't think New Nightmare was technically a reboot as much as it was Wes Craven trying to at least regain a piece of what he created. You know what I mean? It's almost. I think it's a little bit, not quite the same, but it's a little bit of what John Carpenter wanted to do with this new Halloween trilogy. I don't think he cared. I think John Carpenter was a little bit more like, "Where's my check? Where's my money?
Yeah,
where's my money at?"
I think he just enjoyed.
Where's my money?
Yeah,
But I think Wes Craven did genuinely want a piece of it back, because if you think about perfect example, what we're talking about right now, Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead was like, to Wes, a complete bastardization of what he originally wanted for the character. Yeah. I mean, seriously, bro, Freddy he's torturing someone in a video game. Like,
okay, I'll say this. But you gotta. We can talk about it more, but I mean, granted, that probably the cheesiest kills that he's had. But I'll say this: they definitely went like above and beyond the Call of Duty in regards of
they did
Freddy's kills. I mean, I could say this: I enjoyed Freddy's kills in this movie than I did on a lot of them. I'll be honest.
There were some cool kills, and like I said, there are cool moments. It just as the capper to an already cool franchise, it just. It doesn't do it for me in that regard. Now, as a fun 80s horror flick, it's cool. It does its job. But it just, the story-wise, particularly in the main characters that are not Freddy, it falls flat on its face.
Yeah, what can you do? In my experience from watching these old 80s films and old horror films, I mean, you're not really looking there for the characters as such. I mean, yeah, you have your Laurie Strode's, your final girl moments. There will always be, stamped on the franchise of whichever horror icon you choose. But the side characters, you're kind of expecting them just to be cannon fodder, like, meat for the grinder, so to speak. Like, they're not going to be there. Like, they're awesome. Not going to be sweeping you off your feet with their performance. You know what I mean? Like, you see how Johnny Depp, you see how Paul Rudd, like, you know that, who was the other one? If I can't think. He was in, I think it was H2O Resurrection, whenever Michael killed a boy with the hockey puck. What was his name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah, Justin Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. Like, these, like, famous actors that we come to know and love now. Like, these were just, like, small town gigs. Like, this was like a, do I really need to
but it was also like, their first like real gig though. Like it was Johnny Depp's first film. It was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's first film. It was Jamie Lee Curtis's first film. You know.
Yeah,
So,
and I'd agree, but like at the time, like you
mean like a
wouldn't
stepping
have thought-
stone?
It was mainly like a stepping stone kind of like film for a lot of actors.
I get that.
So like
You're probably
you knew
right.
it wasn't. So you knew it wasn't going to be like much that they can offer. It was just nice to be actually in a mainstream film.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Back with this film right here, like when it came down to the cast, like you knew it wasn't going to be like anything like stellar. Like there was nothing going to be Oscar worthy in this, whether alone like how can I say quote
Capper.
You know, something that's like the quote capper, like you can quote it like
Yeah.
I highly doubt you can quote a fucking line from this movie from the normal characters.
Well, not from the normal characters, but I gotta say for Freddy, there's some
many.
slasher Fred's got one. Remember, no screaming while the bus is in motion. Ha 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 ha! And he's driving the bus. By the way, let's go over to the chat real quick. Slasher Fred's here. What's going on? Slasher Fred said this movie came out the same year that Back to the Future. That is true. I've noticed that they both have the same tagline. That they save the best for last. Yeah, they one of the taglines in this one was it actually says. You know, the trailer says they've saved the best for last, and it's like this movie sucks. Like, what are you talking about? They saved the best for last. I completely disagree, but what are you gonna do?
It's one of those things. Well, you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's the end, so you have to like really hype it up, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
You have to hype it up.
And the fact that it
like,
was the end probably made people like, oh,
it might be. Yeah,
how's it gonna end? I gotta see this. You know.
Yeah, but then you realize that they like absolutely threw everything canonical like out the window at that point. Yeah. Like I'd say like in regards to this movie right here, literally it seemed like a reboot but to end a franchise, if that made sense. Because literally nothing from the original franchise that I could recall in this movie, you know, them like bringing it out, I guess. Like I don't even with the dream rolls was completely vastly different than what we've expected. So
Right. Slasher Fred said, I remember when the movie was first released on VHS, and during the opening, there was a commercial for a 1-800 number. That's the most 90s shit I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know that. That's pretty funny. Also said, Jason X was like a cross between Friday the 13th and Alien. That is true. I was not a fan of it. We'll have to get there someday.
When you get the Android Rob.
Yeah. When he turns into a robot, I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Hey, you know what? He hates that movie. He hates that movie, but that's one of the very few Jason movies that I actually was like I sat and watched through as a kid, and I actually enjoyed it because I actually like sci-fi stuff. So
Jason X is one of those films where I turn into Trump, and the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, wrong, wrong, no, this is wrong, absolutely wrong. The stream's probably going to get taken down now because I said the word Trump.
I'm so curious as to what happens when we do watch Jason X. You know we're going to have to watch it at some point, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, we're going to get to it at some point. We're going to get to Friday at some point.
I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah. Listen, funny story. Real quick, I'm going to real quick. Rosalie is here. What's up, Rosie?
Hello.
When the last time I watched Jason X, it was right before I got married. I was home alone one night. Julia was I was just me and the dog, and I'm sitting there. I went and bought a 6-pack. I was like, it's a Saturday night. I'm just gonna get lit, and I'm gonna watch a movie. And I popped in a couple. I was like, I'm feeling Friday. It was a summer night. I was like, I'm feeling Friday the 13th.
He says, I'm feeling Freddy right now. I'm feeling Freddy.
I popped. I feel Jason. I popped in. I watched Part 4. I watched Manhattan. I watched a few of them, and I got to Jason X, and I was like, all right, I'm 3 beers in at this point. I'm just kind of chilling by myself, and I was like, I'm gonna watch Jason X. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, laying on the couch, with the menu on, the main menu on. The movie had ended, and I guess I just slept and sat there on the main menu for however many hours to sleep on the couch. So that's what I think of Jason X.
Granted, you gotta understand, you were already like 3 or 4 movies in though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had watched 3 or 4 movies at that point.
I mean, that can get you tired. So yeah, and you were already a couple of beers in. So all due respect, I feel like if you watch it, I feel like you definitely watched right through it. So
yeah. Rosie said a lot of actors made their debut in horror movies. Jennifer Aniston, Jason Alexander. Yeah, it's kind of a common trend, especially for the 80s and 90s.
I was gonna mention like all of the other. Oh yeah, Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston was it was Leprechaun. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's different though. I feel like it's different now than it was back then. Back then, I guess it was that stepping stone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think of actors like Jenna Ortega, and I mean she's doing the Scream thing right now, and she was of course in Pearl and an X, and but that would like she's been very critically acclaimed for those films too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little bit different, and I hate to bring Tony Moran up because good God, nobody wants to bring that up, but like he had said in one of his tirades about it was when he did Halloween, it was like the equivalent of doing porn in the 70s. Like horror was that low. If you did a horror movie, it was that low, which I disagree with. I wasn't around in the 70s, but
I would say that was
I don't think that was the case. Yeah,
that was a grossly over-exaggerated statement that he made.
It may have been looked down upon in a sense by other people in the community, but like, was it the equivalent of doing a porno? No.
It's like it was like back in like the 2000s where like if you saw a movie star all of a sudden doing TV, you knew it was like they're pretty much done. Like their career is kind of done. Yeah, it was like I don't know who was excited to see like these actors that were in major blockbusters and they have zero. They're in like something that's on Fox 25 or something like that. I don't know.
But even that's kind of changed. If it's like cable television, yes, unless it's like The Walking Dead or Breaking Bad or something like that.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
That's almost a little bit different. But I mean, because you have a guy like Norman Reedus who was already doing the movie thing, but then The Walking Dead made him Norman freaking Reedus too. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure you haven't noticed, but Norman Reedus was in.
He did Boondock Saints before that. He did Blade. He did a few things before that.
And he did American Gangster, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
so yeah,
he did.
He was in a number of.
When did American Gangster come out?
I don't know. That was Denzel Washington's golden years, I'd say.
2007. So that was before.
That was before The Walking Dead.
That was before The Walking Dead. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that was before The Walking Dead. That's a good movie. I remember the first time I watched that, I was on. We were on vacation, and my dad had a copy of it, and we sat and we had like the little car DVD player thing, and we sat and watched it. I was like, "This is a good movie."
Wait, are you talking about like the old like? You saying you saw it in a car? Like,
yeah, I watched it on one of those tiny little like not Blu-ray, but DVD screens, because that would have been early 2000s. But
yeah, you remember when that was gonna be like the thing?
Yeah, DVD was like insane. Yeah,
it was everywhere. Yeah, I get it.
Hey, by the way, I'm looking forward to this. I'll probably do an unboxing video for it. This made me think of the Blu-ray thing, because I debated on whether to get the 4K or not, because I'm not really a big 4K person. I don't know if 4K is going to catch on the same way as Blu-ray and DVD did. I just don't know. I don't know. It's not as widely available though.
Yeah.
But I will say largely the 4K and the Blu-ray comes together, so I guess it's not really that big of a deal. I don't know. Anyways, what I was going to say is I had some Amazon money I needed to use up, and I bought a 4K Blu-ray dual steelbook of The Fog. I know, of The Fog. And then I also bought Night of the Comet, which is it's funny. It was a film that I was looking for, because I collect physical media, and I haven't bought anything in a while. It's been 6 or 7 months since I bought anything new. And I the hell? Oh, the air kicked on. I was like, what was that?
The man's getting robbed.
I was like, I said Trump on a screen. The FBI is gonna like break in my house.
FBI, get down.
Yeah. I was like, but I had remember I saw Night of the Comet when I was a kid, and I remember vaguely bits and pieces of it. And I scrolled past it looking at, Blu-ray releases on Amazon, and I was like, I was like, why do I know what this is? And I clicked on it, and I was like, I'm gonna go to YouTube. I went on YouTube and started watching clips, and I was like, this is that movie. I was like, I know what this is. This is that movie that I saw when I was a kid. So, yeah, it's a very odd zombie flick. A comet comes by the Earth and kills everybody, but somehow these few people survive, and then everybody else comes back as a zombie. And it's very
Buffy the Vampire
odd.
Slayer?
Yeah, kind of.
That kind of vibe.
It's weird. We'll have to cover it on the show. But Rosie says she loves Night of the Comet. Yeah, I remembered. I don't know why I remember that.
I looked it up right now, and the first thing I see is cheerleader with an Uzi. Is it a thrill ride?
What?
I'm saying, like, when I'm looking up Night of the Comet, and I see that it's the first picture that pops up is a cheerleader with an Uzi, and I'm just asking, is this going to be a thrill ride? Because it already looks kind of wild.
That's Night of the Comet.
That's so.
And it's got the weird orange, like the whole city looks orange. It's got a really super retro aesthetic to it. It's kind of cool. I dig it. But I got The Fog, and I got that. I love The Fog. I haven't watched The Fog in quite a while, so I'm excited to. I'm probably gonna watch that this week because I'm on spring break this week. So
not related.
Ain't no work for me. So. Oh my gosh, the man himself is here. J-Dead's in the chat. What's up, J-Dead? Hey guys, be sure to leave it a like if you haven't already.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, I thought you were like, Jamie Lee Curtis is in the chat. I was like, oh, hi, Jamie. Do you want to come on the show?
LOL.
Hey, J-Dead. Hey, Slasher Fred. Hey, Jamie Lee Curtis. Hey, Rosalie. Casually.
Has Jamie Lee Curtis been in The Fog? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
Yep, The Fog is cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
Combines like pirates and horror. I love pirates. Love horror. Love all the above. Love John Carpenter. It's awesome. It's a great one.
Is there an original and a remake? Is that what I'm seeing right now?
Yeah, there was a remake. I don't know if I've seen the remake, but I've heard it's literally disgusting. Like in terms of I've heard it's awful.
Damn.
But
yeah. I mean, there you go. I think we're gonna have to check that one out too, guys.
Slasher Fred, real quick before we get into the discussion here, I read that one of the things that was supposed to be used for the Dream Master that was never used was the time travel through dreams. Yeah, that was a thing. They wanted. There are so many unmade. You know, they have that Taking Shape Part 2 book for Halloween. I have it sitting right over here. That's all of the unmade Halloween sequels. They could have easily done an unmade sequels for Elm Street, but I don't think they got as far. I think it was more ideas that they just decided not to go with, not necessarily there was never a script written, I don't think, for all of them, you know.
And that's wild because they said in this one that they had zero ideas as to what to do.
Yeah, arguably my favorite idea. The original Freddy versus Jason idea was kind of wild, and I don't think it was better, but I think it was just freaking nuts. But John Saxton, who played Lieutenant Thompson, Nancy's dad in the original, he wrote a script for an Elm Street prequel. Or, well, I guess it would have been a sequel, but it was like part prequel, part sequel, that had all of the murders that were blamed on Freddy were actually done by Charles Manson, and all of the teenagers were looped in with Charles Manson, and it somehow got blamed on Freddy, and Freddy was really a good dude who was innocent, and this is Freddy's revenge for being falsely accused and murdered by the parents.
Look,
so
I'm just
it
saying,
would have been like,
dope.
Whoa. Where did that come from? Nuts.
Leave it to John Saxon, the man, the myth, legend.
The man. Rosie said I got surgery recently. Hope you're all right, Rosie. Hope you're doing okay.
Okay, yeah. I hope it went well.
Yeah. Sending love to you. So let's talk Freddy's Dead, released September 13th, 1991. It was directed by Rachel Talalay, who had produced many of the previous Elm Street chapters. She was, she was there the entire time. Mostly did TV episodes and things like that in her career up to this point. It was written by Rachel as well, and also Michael DeLuca, who was a writer and producer on a ton of different things. I mean, look up his IMDb. He did John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. He did The Mask. He did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. Did Ghost Rider. the 50 Shades films, the Thura Brothers, The Social Network, Moneyball, Captain Phillips. I mean, this dude has a lot of work under his belt.
He definitely does. Definitely wide range. Everything okay?
Yeah, I keep hearing something. Hold on.
Oh boy, guys, he definitely is about to get robbed.
I think someone might be breaking it up. No, I'm kidding. I think it's probably the dog.
Okay, let's hope it is.
That's probably what it was. I'm gonna text my wife and see if everything's okay upstairs.
I mean, I don't blame the worry. Obviously, all things considered, it's a wild time nowadays.
It is wild times. You can't be too careful.
No, not anymore. Not in these
Also, I
streets.
have an I have a newborn, so like,
Yeah, definitely a newborn.
but more to come on what's happening in my house. But he did a ton of different things. So he had a lot of work under his belt. Budget between $9 million and $11 million. Wikipedia says it just says between 9 and 11. So I take that as what you will. I don't know. There may not be like completely accurate, records of that or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Now, how much of that do you think was put into the 3D aspect of it? That's my question.
Probably quite a bit. I don't know. I gotta forgot about that, honestly.
I feel like the
I don't
budget.
know.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like the budget of this movie would have dwindled tremendously low if they had not gone for the 3D for the 3D.
I think my dog jumped off of the bed, which is right above me. So I think that's why. It was loud. Okay. Jade said, "Don't worry, it's the shadow people." Yeah, if the fog starts rolling in here and I see ghost pirates coming at me, then it's been nice. This has been fun.
It's been fun.
We've had joy. We've had fun.
Right now would be the worst time for him to just you know how like he usually just goes way out of nowhere and it just zooms into me. Be an awkward time for that to happen.
But like this. Oh, but it's you. Crap.
Yeah, it's me.
Then the fog starts rolling in behind you. Then it would have been bad.
Yeah.
Slasher Fred said, one of the scenes that I love is the part where Tracy, Spencer, Carlos she stops and she asks Carlos to give her the roadmap, and he opens it up and finds himself trapped in a maze of maps. Yeah, that's a pretty cool scene.
Cool. Yeah.
Like I said, there are moments in here that are good. It's just largely it's whatever. This one made $34.9 million at the box office, which, when in comparison, did better than The Dream Child, which is most likely due to the fact that it was the final chapter. If we look at the other ones, first film made $57 million. The second film made $30 million. Elm Street 3, when it, getting to be the height of its popularity, made $44.8 million. Jumped up again, the height of it, I believe, ever. I don't know if the remake or Wes Craven's New Nightmare did better than that. Elm Street 4 did the best with $49.4 million, and then Elm Street 5 made $22.1. So quite a big drop. We talked about that in our last episode of Purely and Simply Evil when we talked Elm Street 5.
The box office kept dwindling down.
Quite a big drop in the box office, which again is kind of a telltale sign that it was reaching the end. Like it was time to start wrapping it up. So I think you mentioned this earlier, the fact that they branded this as the final chapter and this is the final nightmare. This is it. This is how he's going to go out. Like this is the end of the franchise. I think that probably,
it pulled some seats in there.
It did. It put butts in seats. And I think that, that can probably account for the slight rise in the box office stuff. But, like we said before, it's funny because the trailer says they've saved the best for last, but I'm going to be frank with you. It just falls flat. It sucks. I mean, there are good, maybe even great Freddy moments that I really like, but the problem is they're practically hidden within like a whole cloud of mediocrity. Like, again, you'd mentioned this before, but take the characters. I'm serious. I couldn't care. I couldn't care any less about the characters in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even his daughter. I mean, his daughter was okay. And I understand what they were trying to do with the whole Freddy backstory and revisiting various points in his life, but it was the wrong
Everything was way
time.
too, on the nose.
That needed to be done 3 movies ago. And maybe even just allude to things more than actually, spelling it out for you. I mean, at this point, it feels like we're just semi-rewriting his entire mythology, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that the whole daughter thing wasn't a cool plot twist, because it was, but it just feels super, super late in the game. And it also kind of it contradicts the backstory of the first film because, like we said before, call a spade, Freddy was a child predator. He was a murderer. He was a sexual predator. And I know that they always kind of danced around it because they didn't want to just outright say it.
Yeah.
But let's face it, that's what the character is. And they kind of reposition him in this film to seem like it was all because they took away his daughter and that was his motivation and his motive and
to start doing that kind of things.
Yes, like and that happened because but that was all because he was a child murderer. That's why they took her away when he got caught. So it's like, was that really his motive all along, or was he just saying that to get to her and to make her trust him? Because let's face it, he's a master manipulator. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he says at one point in the scene where they're kind of rotating, but I made him pay. I took all their children away from them, and now that's over. But it's like he kind of contradicts himself again, and he literally says, time to start all over, and that's when we get the every town has an Elm Street thing, which is awesome. I love that line, but that right there should prove that it is more than just revenge for taking his daughter. He enjoys it, you know? So it kind of contradicts itself, and, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I know I'm digging really deep, like, and I should probably just shut the hell up and eat my damn popcorn, but that's what we do. We dive into this stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I think was kind of like overlooked was the fact that I think it was his daughter that pretty much ratted him out, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because like in the dream sequence of hers, like it shows that she found the basement, or the wife found the basement, and then, you know, Freddy obviously kills his wife, and that's what caused him to get caught, was the fact that he did that. So I was just like thinking to myself, I was like, well, that has to be the reason why he got caught and the parents and the daughter got taken away, is because, you know, he ended up killing his wife.
Yeah.
So like I didn't really understand why. I didn't understand why he had some like huge vendetta for revenge, other than the fact that, like, you know, that's just who he is as a person. Like there's no sense of like, you need to feel bad for Freddy whatsoever. It's like, no, this guy was straight up a piece of shit.
He was, and I think when you see his backstory, I think that, you know, that shows that. And I don't know, it's not quite the same as Michael Myers, but I think it's similar. I don't need to see him when he was a kid. I didn't want to see his classmates yelling, you know, son of 100, maniac, son of 100. You know, it's the same Jamie's uncle's the boogeyman, Jamie. It's that whole thing. Like, I know the Jamie thing was different. I'm just using it as an example. I don't think I needed to see that.
We are not going to compare
the scene when. No, I'm not. The scene when Alice Cooper comes down the stairs and he's playing Freddy's dad and he's trying to beat him with the belt and Freddy's laughing and whatever. Like, I'm just like.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I was so excited to see Alice Cooper, because like I love seeing Alice Cooper coming into some of these movies. It's so funny. But yeah. I'm with you, man. I think the backstory of Freddy was definitely like unnecessary for it to be his last hurrah. Like his last hurrah in the franchise shouldn't be, well, let's dive into his backstory right now and figure out why he's the way he is. Yeah. It's like we already know. Like, you're talking about Freddy's dead. Like, everyone that's going to that movie already knows of Freddy. They know who he is. They know why he does what he does. There's no point to just retell the story. It's kind of like the whole Batfleck thing, where they're like, we don't need to tell the story again. And we're like, what was it with Tom Holland? Like in Spider-Man, like, we don't need to tell the backstory. We don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. We don't need to see Martha and Thomas Wayne die again. We know that they do. Like, the people who are coming to this movie theater already know the backstory, so there's no need to tell it again. So we're already like, 4 or 5? We're like 5 or 6 movies in with this franchise. We know why he does what he does. Okay, we don't need to be told again. So, or delve in more into his psyche, I guess.
J-Dad says, I'm not saying Freddy was a predator, but he probably has a Minecraft server that he only lets 17 and under join.
Ugh. See, that's so messed up.
It is messed up, but it's kind of funny. Slasher Fred said, in the during flashback of Krueger's childhood, I love the brief the brief moment where the cold-hearted classmates are elderly people. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. There's some cool moments. I mean, it some of that stuff was cool.
One of them was seeing Roseanne Barr be in her natural area. Yeah. Crazy.
And in her element. I love in that scene when when the daughter realizes that he's her dad and she walks straight up to him and like confronts him or whatever. And he's like, or no, that's not this moment. It's when he's talking to the other guy, the Kincaid lookalike, when he says whatever the guy, I forget his name. So I don't even remember the characters' names. I have IMDb pulled up. I have to hold on. Let me see. I don't even remember the characters' names.
Like I said,
that's where we are.
Forgettable.
Doc. When he's like, he's doing the finger thing where he's cutting off his fingers like he does to Nancy in the original one. And he's like, they tried to bury me. They tried to kill me. They even tried holy water. And then he comes back and his hand's there and he's like, but I just kept on ticking. I mean, there is some really awesome Freddy stuff in here, but there's just so much awful plot weaved in around it that's just kind of like, oh, okay, So let's take a stroll down memory lane here, shall we? By 1991, we talked about this with the budget. Freddy Krueger had built New Line Cinema. Elm Street had taken off. Horror had taken off, and especially by 91, we had made it through that 80s decade. So the craze of things was starting to kind of dwindle a little bit, and it had evolved throughout the last 10 years. Elm Street had 5 films. It had a TV show. Freddy Krueger was a pop culture icon. The character that Wes Craven created to scare people because it was, that came from a place of childhood trauma for himself. Kids were now wanting to dress up as Freddy, and be Freddy. I mean, I remember when I was a kid.
And that's a little cringe. Listen, if that doesn't tell you Freddy won I have to say, at the end, I don't know what else to tell you.
Even when I was a kid, like, I don't know what this says about me, and I think I'm a pretty good person. I mean, I'm, whatever. But I had made... I did the whole tinfoil thing, making the knives out of tinfoil for the Halloween costume and stuff. And I remember I bought like the crappy rubies when they first started making the crap versions of the Freddy glove. I know now you can buy like legit, like Trick or Treat Studios has a legit version of it. But I bought the plastic thing. I don't even have it. I don't even know where it would be. It probably got thrown away sometime when I was a kid. But I bought that. And when I opened that glove and put it on my hand, I was like, I went up the stairs and I had my hand on the banister. I was like, this is so dope.
And came out. Like, I'm sure he was like,
It was. I started calling everybody bitch all the time. No, I'm kidding.
He started saying every town has this Elm Street. Oh my God. I just started Siri. Stop, Siri. Get out. Get out.
Funny. Is it Siri? Did Siri quote you on that?
Siri quoted me on that. I was like, no, thanks, Shauna. I don't need you to know about that.
Yep, J-Dead's keeping track of my strokes. That's okay. It's all right. Oh, yeah, you're right. I said Nancy. It was Tina when he's outside with Tina and he pops out from behind the tree or whatever. Yeah. But he was a pop culture icon, and the problem with all of that, the problem with Freddy Krueger building New Line Cinema, for him at least, was that Freddy built New Line Cinema. They didn't need him anymore. Elm Street fatigue had started to set in. If you watch the Never Sleeping Again documentary, which if you haven't seen it, it's amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite documentaries about anything. Bob Shea had stated that he knew they were running out of ideas. Like, they were like, we knew it was dying. We knew it was time to probably start to wrap it up. The high had kind of worn off, but also the high of that 80s horror craze was starting to wear off. Plus, New Line Cinema at this point was an established studio. I mean, it's kind of crazy, actually, what Elm Street did for New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema is one of the biggest studios out there, So the fact that it literally built it into what it is kind of a big deal. That's awesome. But again, it was kind of it's a double-edged sword because it's like it built it, but they had other franchises and other projects that they wanted to move on to. So at some point, it was decided that Elm Street 6 would be the final chapter in the franchise. This would be his last hurrah, and they wanted audience to know that Freddy's Dead was the final nightmare. And that went through a few different stages when they were getting there. Earlier, Peter Jackson, one of my absolute favorite directors of all time, even though ironically I'm not a fan of The Lord of the Rings. I know people are going to want to kill me for that.
I mean, it's
but
an
like
acquired taste,
the
I'll be
Peter,
honest.
it really is. I can't do any of that. I can't do fantasy. I don't know what it is. I can't do Game of Thrones.
So what that means, guys, he's not going to
I can't do Lord of the Rings. I probably
would you not even want to watch that?
I hear it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah,
I hear it's pretty dope actually.
In regards to a video game adaptations, I've heard really good reviews, and I'm like, wow, are we actually like doing good jobs right now with movie video game? That's two for me, dog.
Well,
that's
the
two.
thing is though, is people who are like, I never even played D&D in my life, are like, it was actually kind of a fun movie. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it is pretty good.
I don't know. No,
it'll probably be one that I watch once it comes out, like on digital.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those movies where like I know a couple of friends that play D&D, and they've invited me to play D&D, but I never got into that or wanted to. No offense, guys, I love you guys, but I've seen them post videos of D&D, and they said that they loved it. I heard that sloshing in your mouth that entire time.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I stopped at the store today and I got some. It's not bourbon. Miguel and I had we had a conversation about whiskey and bourbon before we started the show. This is Tennessee whiskey. I sound like Gary Busey.
That was funny.
Yeah. I could be a funny guy when I want to be, but I got some Tennessee whiskey, so it's all right. It's not Woodford. It's not quite Kentucky, even though I'm drinking it out of my Kentucky glass, but it's okay.
This borderline blasphemy.
Gary Busey. That was maybe the funniest video. If you haven't seen our Gary Busey video, that was maybe the funniest thing that's ever happened on this show. I don't know if I've ever laughed that hard on a live show.
You'll have to tell me.
Yeah.
You have to tell me which one it is so I can like.
Oh my God, you gotta put that shit on TikTok.
Yeah, I'll find out.
You have to put that on TikTok.
Oh Hashtag TBT.
Hey, by the way, follow us on TikTok if you haven't already. We're finally gonna try and like get some TikTok stuff rolling, like do the Instagram reel thing and the TikTok thing. So please follow us on there.
Yeah, check us out. By the time it gets canceled, I'm just saying. So
I know. We were listening to the radio. Julie and I were going to eat breakfast yesterday, and we were listening to the radio, and they were like, yeah, like they were talking about the whole TikTok thing with Congress, and I was like, as soon as we get on there, as soon as I'm like, all right, let's dive into the TikTok thing, it's gonna get banned.
Well, look, I'll say this though. You guys hark on Kentucky a lot in regards to our politics, and I know we're not really popular, I guess, on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But you gotta give my man Rand Paul some respect. He stopped it. He stopped one of the major bans for TikTok. So mad respect to my man Rand Paul. He's not a great guy.
I mean,
but
in all honesty,
on TikTok stick around.
In all honesty, I don't think TikTok is probably not that great of a thing. But I mean, let's be real.
Okay. Facebook and Instagram are no better, but I mean, granted, TikTok's more fun. I'll say that. Yeah. I enjoy TikTok.
J-Dead said, "Follow you on TikTok and MySpace."
Bro,
don't forget. Don't forget our OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's true.
We're actually switching all of our content to OnlyFans for.
Yeah, our ad is the same as
we're
Twitter.
gonna ditch you. We're gonna ditch YouTube. We're not gonna do Patreon. We're just gonna hop straight into OnlyFans. So we're gonna start doing shows naked from the waist down.
Could you imagine if we pioneered that? You know what I mean? Like if we pioneered actually using OnlyFans, kind of the same way as Patreon is being used. That would be the funniest.
No one would follow us.
That would be the funniest.
No one would follow
ever.
us.
I mean, that's pretty much what OnlyFans is supposed to be for. If I'm not mistaken, that was what it's supposed to be for. Is like, subscription to actual videos.
It's really funny. If somebody retweeted something that the official OnlyFans account, there's another stroke count. The official OnlyFans account put it on Twitter, and I clicked on it. I was just like, what do they actually do? Like, what is the purpose? Like, you know how they say Snapchat had a completely different purpose when it started? I was like, what did OnlyFans start as? And they say Snapchat had a different purpose, and it evolved into a social media platform. And I was like, did OnlyFans really start as like a sexual thing?
Not
and
the
dude, they promote nothing sexual about OnlyFans. It's like, I take pictures of birds and you can buy my content. Like, that's what they like promote.
It's
and I was
literally
like, that's
a platform.
so funny.
It's supposed to be a platform for performers to provide like, you know, clips or photos to like their followers.
It's so
for,
funny
like,
that it evolved
for like
into
for like
that.
a subscription. Kind of the same like
Unreal.
Patreon. It's literally the same as like Patreon if you think about it.
It's the same idea.
But it didn't work out that way.
But with boobs.
I don't know.
Patreon with boobs.
I'm trying to, if I can remember, like, I don't know who changed that. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a famous person that did it. I don't know who it was, but I'm pretty sure a famous person started doing it on OnlyFans, and people were like, "Well, here we go. Here comes the rabbit hole that we're gonna go down." So
here's my feet.
I'll be honest, man. Like, I feel like OnlyFans is probably gonna be a really dope case study for like social network, because no one really understands. At least I don't understand how it became that. I'm pretty sure it was during the pandemic, but it was just so funny whenever I was.
Hey, I'm not knocking anybody who does it, because I listen. You do you. I don't care.
Hey man,
whatever.
check's a check.
But it's just so funny. It's so funny.
Please don't quote us.
Yeah, I don't know. Please don't quote us. It's okay.
Oh my god. So we just totally went left side on that.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got there. Freddy should start an OnlyFans. That'd be great.
Oh my god, could you imagine Freddy? Like imagine oh my god, could you imagine like Freddy starting an OnlyFans, but they have to pay for a subscription so he can see all the kills that he does.
Mike
and
from
We
Watched the Movie
and some
said
sadistic
that
people are wanting to do that, or some sadistic people are wanting to pay for it. So that's how he's making money and continue to perpetuate that cycle. Oh my god, there's a script, guys. New Line Cinema, hit me up, dog.
Mike said that when we were hanging out with Mike and Jay from We Watched a Movie. He was like, could you imagine if in one of these movies, like, somebody went to eat a hot dog and suddenly the hot dog started to look weird, and the hot dog it was just like burnt dick, like it was just Freddy's whole dick in this hot dog bun. Like,
that was so gross. This is a level of gross. Like, can you imagine? Like, I feel like it would be like one of those, like, he's eating a hot dog and it's like kind of tasting weird, and then like zooms out to end up being Freddy's whole ass strong.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, man.
If they remake it, I need to see it.
If they remake it,
to see it.
If they remake it, get ready to get canceled. I'll say that. That movie would not even make post-production. I'll say that.
Oh man. We got to get back on topic. I don't know what are we doing right now? Who am I? Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson was attached to write the story. He was tapped, and his idea is very interesting. And I want you guys to tell me your thoughts on what was supposed to happen here. So Peter Jackson pitched a story where Freddy was old and tired and decrepit, and the kids would purposely take sleeping pills and purposely fall asleep just to make fun of him and kick his ass in Dream World. And their dreams were basically to bully him. They were basically Freddy's bullies within the Dream World, because he had lost all of his power. Nobody was really scared of him. And of course, the film would have been about old man Freddy's redemption and getting his energy back. He managed to kill one kid, and then the fear started to revitalize him and all of that stuff. And I was kind of like...
That would have worked, honestly, in regards to like how famous he is. Like, make it more about his popularity than the actual characters. Like,
it sounds pretty interesting, honestly. Like, it's kind of dumb. Like, if you look at it, like, surface level, it sounds kind of dumb, but honestly, like, it could be done really well. You know what I mean? Like, as almost putting Freddy in the hot seat is like the good guy, so to speak. That sounds weird, but like I don't know. That could be kind of odd. That'd be interesting. I've always been a fan of Peter Jackson. So
it would have some potential, I would say. But to have the thing with Peter Jackson filming a Freddy's Nightmare on Elm Street movie, it just seemed highly improbable to me, honestly.
Well, but this also would have been earlier in Peter Jackson's career too, and
that would have just been like a stepping stone kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like that Quentin Tarantino, like them offering him the possibility to film a Michael Myers movie. It's like, how interesting would it have been if he had the hands on it, but in the grand scheme of things, we're kind of glad he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad like Quentin Tarantino didn't do Halloween and I'm
Right.
kind of glad Peter Jackson didn't do.
Oh yeah,
Nightmare.
as soon as I heard Quentin Tarantino's idea for what Halloween 6 would have been, I was like, yeah, no. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
glad that didn't happen.
great director, great director.
Amazing, but no.
Would have trashed that movie. I'll be honest.
No,
Yeah.
no thanks. But yeah, so that would have been kind of an odd thing. And then, of course, Michael DeLuca was writing a draft at the same time, and ultimately, that's what became Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Even though Peter Jackson's idea wasn't used, the process of working with New Line, ironically, was what established his relationship with them. So in a weird sort of way, Elm Street is what led him to Lord of the Rings. There you go. Full
Really?
circle. I mean, in a way, you could look at it that way. So, and then, of course, Rachel Talalay was brought on to helm the story. She felt that it needed more humor, which is why this one often feels so goofy and whack. She wanted to, part 5, they wanted to try and make Freddy scary again. This one, they were like, nope, let's just basically turn him into Bugs Bunny, which is what Robert Englund describes him as. Like, some of the scenes, he was like, I basically envisioned him as like a Bugs Bunny type character. Like, goofy, funny, wacky, quirky.
Because they're, I don't
know.
know. Yeah, I got that feeling too in this one as well. Because there's definitely like Bugs Bunny there's Bugs Bunny sound effects. If that makes sense. What was it? What scene was it that I'm thinking of? It was in one of the dream sequences. I think it was.
I particularly like. I think Super Bugs Bunny moment is when he pushes the he's kind of on his back and he's pushing the spikes out, the tire spikes out on the road, and he pushes them out and he's like, and he just kind of looks at the camera and like he's tired or like. That's a Super Bugs Bunny moment. He also breaks the fourth wall like twice in this movie, which is pretty funny.
With old boy with the hearing impairment. Yeah,
but that was in part 5. That was part 5. That wasn't part 6.
That was Freddy's Dead. No, Freddy's Dead was the one with when he was toying with the guy that was deaf.
No, that was part 6, or that's part 5.
Bro, no, Freddy's Dead. He's fucking with a guy that's deaf.
Maybe it is.
It is.
Oh no, that happened twice.
Man
that happened. We're thinking of two different things. You're thinking of the Q-tip guy, right?
Yes.
No, maybe that was the same. See, this one runs together with all the rest of them. That's like You're right. You're actually right.
Yeah, like this.
The pins dropping. This is the pins dropping, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is the pin dropping.
See, I suck. This is why Elm Street has always run together for me. I don't know why. Halloween doesn't do that. Friday the 13th doesn't do that. Elm Street, the last 3, like 4, 5, and 6, it could be one thing. I can't do it. I don't know why.
I don't know, man. Like,
I apparently need to watch these a lot more because I've seen them, 10 times. But
yeah, I've only seen this movie like once, and at least I remember some of the kills.
Yeah, you remember it better than me, and I've been watching them since I was a kid.
Well, here, I'll say this. If you want to talk about like the beginning of the movie, like the first dream sequence, like I'll say this. I thoroughly enjoyed it because it definitely felt like a dreamland sequence, if that makes sense. Because I remember you told me that there was like a little script around here where it's like it talked about like how dreamers can go into the dream playing field, like the dream purgatory, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where they could battle Freddy or whatever, whatnot.
Right.
And that would have been cool because at least you would have been like in the dream realm.
It was like a space between the dream world and like real life. Like almost like there's a space between. I guess I would equate it to like that moment where you feel like when you're about to fall asleep and you feel like you're falling and you you jerk yourself awake, like a place in between real life and the dream world. And that could have been a cool concept or a cool idea,
Yes, but the reason why I said it was because like in regards to like how the dream sequence is, if we were to start with like how the movie begins, like I love the fact where you can't really tell if they are in the dream or not. And when it came down for like when old boy was in the plane, like taking the flight, like you couldn't tell immediately like he was in the dream, but you could quickly gather like, okay, this is going to be a dream. When it like for me, I knew it was a dream the second I saw the lady sitting next to him, because she was dressed in the same color scheme as as Freddy, and I was like, there he is. There's Freddy.
Yep.
I was like, here we go. We're in a dream, obviously. And then you get down to like the whole thing of like, I don't know the whole meaning behind him being in the house kind of thing. But whenever the windows open and you see Freddy come down with the broomstick, looking like the wicked witch from the west.
Hey, Jaded, Miguel's got a stroke count now.
There you go.
I'm not alone here.
There you go. But when he comes flying down, I was just like, what a way to introduce Freddy at the end.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
it's a great introduction. His intro in this movie is awesome, and I said that in our live commentary. I was like, you know that the movie is about the villain when he was introduced literally within the first 3 minutes of the movie. He comes down and it's the whole Wizard of Oz thing. He's on the broom and he flips the cape back and stuff. It's such a cool introduction, you know.
It's because you don't even get to know who the person you don't even get to know who the person in the plane was going to be. But you knew exactly who Freddy was immediately.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Sierra said, "Look at you two twinning in your LTM hoodies." Listen, you got to represent. What can I say? We're two married old men who are very much in love, passionately.
Like this would, I gotta say, we're the people that would have a new hoodie every year and be like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year.
Listen, I don't know what we're gonna do when we go to Scarefest because I feel like if we both show up in the hoodie, you're gonna be like, "Take yours off," and I'll be like, "No, take yours off." We got to get some new merch going. We got to get some different LTM merch
they're
going.
gonna be like on count of three. Okay, let's take our shirts off. No,
yeah,
I'm sure we'll think of something. Like I think
count of three, take our shirts off.
I think that by the time Scarefest comes back, or by the time we do another convention, which I was hoping we'd be able to do, but
I know
I'm pretty sure soon.
I really
new merch.
Wanted to go to Horror Hound in Cincinnati because Cincinnati is a stone's throw away from us, but it wasn't in the cards this year. Couldn't
what
make
a
it
strong
happen.
arm he has. I mean, Grant.
Okay.
We know why it's not, obviously, but
it's okay.
I'd say next time we do a convention, I'm sure we'll have plenty of merch left.
Listen.
Some Pace shirts or some other LTM shirts or Classic Revisited shirts. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys are anywhere close to Kentucky. I don't know where you all live, but and that's not information you have to share with us in the chat. But
please don't.
If you're don't share don't give us your address. We don't care. All right, we love you as people, but we don't care. But make sure I'm feeling this a little bit. But if you're available in October, please come to Scarefest because we want to hang out with you. Come hang out with us and the Wham guys at Scarefest because that'll be a blast. Seriously. Like I think about it all the time. I look forward. Scarefest is one of my absolute favorite weekends of the entire year. Seriously.
It is.
I've had it on my calendar for months. So
yeah, so I'm excited.
We gotta get our tickets, by the way. Gotta get our tickets.
Bro, that is months in advance, okay? I'm even hesitant on the tickets that we were gonna go to for Louisville too. So like calm down, dog.
That's fair. We're going to see Green Day, and I already have my Green Day tickets. I'm not playing around with that. I know. Listen, when I hear Green Day, I show up.
He really is. He already has the tickets down and everything. I'm over here just trying to budget it right now. I might even put it on layaway.
Yeah, my cousin and my brother are big Green Day fans too, and I was calling my brother and I was like, "Bro, when are we buying these tickets? I need to know now. I need to get them right now." So
I know I gotta keep checking that prices because if I'm being honest, dog, I really gotta that. I did not know. I'm learning more about concerts, but apparently that shit, the prices go up the closer you get to the.
Oh yeah.
So.
Especially when it's a festival, yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, we're going to Louder Than Life. So if anybody's going to be at Louder Than Life, come hit us up. Come find us.
Hit us up.
We'll be there on Sunday watching some Green Day. Super psych. I'm so excited. Oh, Jaded, you're South Carolina. He said, I live at 1202 Badunkadunk Lane. You said, is that that's where the cops from Halloween 5 live? Badunkadunk.
Cake County.
The Seinfeld bass bang. Cake County, South Carolina. Yeah, man. If you're in South Carolina, you could come to Scarefest. You're not that far away. You can make it.
Dog, the tickets are getting expensive too.
For what? For Scarefest?
No, for
I was like I don't think the tickets for Scarefest go up.
Is it Saturday that we're gonna go to?
Sunday. We're going to yes, Green Day is on Sunday.
Okay, that's still not bad. That's like 130. It's like 140 still.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the lineup? We are so off topic from Freddy's Dead.
I
But I
know.
don't care.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
having.
no.
Listen, I'm having a good time, so I don't care. Let's just do this right here because I don't even care anymore. We're enjoying our life right now, and that's okay.
Oh my god.
So this is what Miguel and I are doing in September. So it's taking forever to load. Why? Why is it taking so long to load?
Because Freddy's kind of upset with us being off topic.
Come on. Yeah, it's Freddy. It's Freddy making it not load. So we're going on Sunday because I've said this before, I'm a massive Green Day fan. But we're going on Sunday to see Green Day. The Interrupters were there on Sunday. I saw them. They opened for Green Day 2 years ago when we went and saw them in Atlanta. I wouldn't mind. I've seen Weezer. I've seen Avenged Sevenfold, although I wouldn't mind seeing Avenged Sevenfold again because they were dope. They were really, really good. It was probably 2009 or 10 that I saw Avenged Sevenfold in Lexington. But Foo Fighters are there on Thursday. Weezer's there. I wouldn't mind seeing the Foo Fighters either. I wish it was all like closer together because like I wouldn't mind seeing some of these other bands, but like Rancid would be good.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, like it's a pretty dope lineup. I'll be honest.
Oh, you know what I want to know the people that are going to see I want to know the people that are going to see Mannequin Pussy. That's what I want to know.
But if you look at it, dog, like I was looking at this lineup.
That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at this lineup. Let me look at Saturday. Saturday looked dope for me. Yeah,
dude, Avenged Sevenfold was sick.
Falling in Reverse, Asking Alexandria, Pierce the Veil. Oh my god, that'd been dope. Let me think who else. Dragged Under is pretty dope. Gideon's good.
See, I don't know any of the other bands. I know the Interrupters. That's pretty. I know. So, I'm looking at the wrong one. I know the Interrupters. I know Mayday Parade.
You're talking about Sunday?
I'm looking at Sunday. Yeah.
Bro, you know what's so funny? So you remember
the emo night tour?
Yeah, I was gonna say. You remember what we did on Thursday? They're gonna show up.
Oh, that's kind of dope. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Bro, it's literally the same thing we're gonna have here in Lexington.
I know.
If you guys don't know what the emo night tour is, it's literally just like a tour of. It's like it's like a little event where it's literally just like a DJ just plays all of the alternative hits that we all come to love. That's literally this entire lineup, and they just play it, and we all get crunked and we all enjoy it. Like it's pretty dope. It's a nice. And if you go on Spotify, they have their playlist like already on. So I listen to it like almost every day because I love their playlist. But yeah, that playlist just goes on like that's the concert. But it's actually pretty dope. And I remember when we went to because it was our very first Scarefest. We went to the emo night.
Yeah,
It was pretty dope.
Well, see, originally when we went to Scarefest in 2021, we had a whole vlog day planned. We were going to vlog at Scarefest, and then we were going to leave and go pick my wife up and go to Louisville, where they do this whole big pumpkin display thing in the park, and there's thousands of pumpkins lighting up the park, and it's really cool. And why didn't we go? I don't even remember.
It was.
I don't remember why. It was late by the time we got back.
Yeah, and then
it was kind of rainy. Like it didn't end up. So we ended up
go to some other location in Lexington that had the same pumpkin thing. But by the time we got there, we realized it was a terrible mistake because apparently that was not happening. So we went to some random outskirts of town, and we were freaking out. We were like, "This is sketchy."
Well, we showed up. So we went to go do this pumpkin thing at. It was this whole Halloween, walk through the park and there's all the pumpkins and stuff. And we make it to this park and we pull in and my wife, Julia, she's like, we need to leave. And I was like, yeah, this is sketch. I was driving and I was like, we got to get the hell out of here. There was like a white van parked, but it was pitch black and that was the only thing there. And I was like, nope. It's like, this is how we get taken away. Like we're leaving. So
it was very much not like a safe thing. So
no, it was not. It was not.
When we finished, Julia was like, we still have to do something. Like we're here, we have to do something. And I was
out. We were out at that point. We were out. We wanted to do something. Yeah,
I was like, funny you should mention that because I was gonna go to a concert today.
Yeah.
so let's go to it. And lo and behold, it was literally like down the road. Like I kid you not,
Yeah.
it was down the road, and I was like, I don't know if this is a sign, but let's go kick it. So we kicked it over there.
It was pretty cool, man. It was fun, yeah. But we went to emo night. It was cool. So yeah, but I don't know. Scarefest is a blast. If you guys can make it, you definitely come hang out with us.
I just saw that.
It was awesome. J-Dad said, dang it, it's almost 10 p.m. here. Got to go make that small money. Much love, everybody. Glad to see everybody still hanging in there. J-Dad, thanks so much for showing up, man. We love you, buddy.
Thanks, man. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk much with Freddy while you were here.
I so hope that we get to hang out with you guys at some point, like in person. Like, I know we hang out here all the time, but like seriously, like I want to meet you guys and I want to like actually like have a beer and sit and hang out with you in person. It would be so dope. It'd be so awesome, man. That was one of the that was maybe my favorite part about Scarefest last year was just like talking to people, you know, like meeting people. We went to the Wham meetup after, and that was awesome. Like just talking to people and meeting people. It's so cool, so dope.
It really was. So
it's funny
would love to be able to do that again. Would be dope. I'll be honest.
You know, it's funny we're talking about music because I did this a few years ago, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll do it again. I made a playlist for like the summer, like just like a playlist to get rolling. And I was like, you know, that's my playlist for the year. And I was like, I'm gonna do it again. So obviously, like I have a lot of Green Day on there. I have some John Mayer on there. My wife loves John Mayer. So and I think that's like her he's hall good. Pass, if I'm not mistaken. It is her hall pass, but he's good. Like I actually really I've come to like John Mayer a lot. I've got David Duchovny has become like one of my favorite artists. He's not. How do I say this?
Do not know who that is.
He's Fox Mulder in the X-Files.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And he's in Californication and stuff. He, you know, he's not the greatest like vocalist. He's good. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not insane. Like he's not an insane vocalist. But I really like his songwriting a lot. And I don't know. I've come to really, really enjoy his music. But I've got a lot of stuff on there. I mean, I've got the Heathens on there, which is Sean Clark's old band. I've got Counting Crows on there. I'm actually looking at maybe this is like the year of concerts. We're going to see Green Day in September. My wife just bought us John Mayer tickets for Indianapolis. Counting Crows is going to be in Cincinnati, and I really like Counting Crows a lot too, so might go see them. I've got Linkin Park on there. I've got some Slipknot on there. I've got Misfits. Avenged Sevenfold is on there.
Whoa, hold up. What?
What?
The Linkin Park still touring?
No, I'm talking my playlist.
Oh, I was like, dog.
But yeah, I think they are. I think they are still touring.
I thought Mike went solo.
I think
they're. I thought.
I think they're trying to still do stuff. Linkin Park.
I did not know.
Did Linkin? Maybe they're.
Yeah,
maybe
they're not. Yeah, no. They said since 2017, since Bennington. He said they have not been making any new music or planning on touring.
Okay.
So yeah,
I understand that. I get that. Man, we were talking.
So yeah, I heard Mike Shinoda had new music coming out.
Yeah.
But other than that, which if you guys don't know who Mike Shinoda is, he's the other vocalist for Linkin Park. He was the one that did had the raps.
Yeah. My dad and I were talking to somebody at work. I work with my dad, and we were talking somebody the other day, and they were like, you know, if you could go see a concert of someone that's dead, like someone that you couldn't go see, like who would you go see? And I was like, man, Queen. Like I would love to see a Queen concert. But honestly, I think I would pick Linkin Park.
My generation, it would be like if I had to do of all time, I would agree. It would be Queen, Michael Jackson. But
Michael Jackson would be good too. I wouldn't mind seeing Michael Jackson.
Of my generation, it would definitely be it would definitely be Linkin Park for sure. Because I know like how much I love going to the concert that we went to in Cincinnati. I was like, imagine hearing Linkin Park live and hearing Chester just belching out these notes. Just like, I don't know. I would have enjoyed going to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely love to see them. SPC, what's going on, man? Hey, by the way, I forgot to say this before. I'm glad you're here, SPC. We are going to be on Austin's channel. Is it Saturday? Shit, I think it's
that out.
I think it's Saturday. We're going to be on Austin's channel on Saturday talking all things Resident Evil. So that's going to be a blast. If you haven't, please go subscribe to Austin's channel. That's going to be awesome. So Sierra said she'd like to go to a Mac Miller concert. Yeah, that would have been good too.
That would be dope. Yeah, that would have been dope. I feel like that would have been a good one too.
Honestly, I don't know if I've listened to a whole lot of Mac Miller.
He's pretty good. You should give him a listen. He's pretty good. I'd agree.
Yeah.
Sucks about what happened to him, but yeah, he was definitely like underrated for sure. Ooh,
yeah. Saturday we're gonna be on Austin's channel, so definitely go subscribe to him. That'll be a blast. You all know my history with Resident Evil. I could sit and talk Resident Evil for hours on end. So SBC, I hope you're ready. Austin, we're gonna be there for a long time. I hope you're ready. It's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be a long one.
So definitely show up for that. Rosie said she'd like to see The Cure. That'd be good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my dad is like the ultimate Bruce Springsteen fan. And I would love to be able to take him to a Bruce Springsteen because
I said like he's not dead.
It's I know he's not dead and he's still touring, but like there's getting to a point with some of these guys where it's like
it'd be depressing to see him live.
They're not spring chickens. No, I think it'd still be a good show. Mm-hmm. I just like there's a fear with some of them where it's like how much longer are they really going to be able to do this? You know, so and Bruce is. I mean, Springsteen is.
And you know what? I had that same.
How old is he?
I had that same idea with.
He's 73. I mean, he's getting up there. You know, Paul McCartney's getting up there. Julia's seen Paul McCartney. I'm glad I got to see Billy Joel. I saw Billy Joel a couple years ago, and I was like, that was a good show. I've always really liked Billy Joel ever since I was a kid.
Let me see. Who am I thinking about? Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett, if you think about it, I've seen Jimmy Buffett in concert, I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And my man is he's 76. And he's still making a rockin' show. I'll say that. Like I was very surprised with how good that show was. And I'll be honest.
I'm not saying that they can't do it. I think Springsteen still puts on a good show. Billy Joel put on a hell of a show. You know, I honestly, I mean, I think it's probably still good. I would love to get him to another Springsteen show just because
the boss.
The boss is getting up there. Like you know what I mean? I mean, when you get into your 70s, it's like, okay. Although look at Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger looks like he should have died 20 years ago, and I'm sorry, I hate to be that way, but good Lord.
It's honestly one of those things where like when you pump so much drugs inside your body that your body thinks it's still like in his 20s.
I say that though, but I saw a video not long ago about it was Steven Tyler singing Dream On at an Aerosmith concert in Vegas from like 6 months ago. Dude was killing it. Like absolutely knocking it out of the park. He sounded awesome, honestly. So I was like, how old is Steven Tyler? So Springsteen's 73. How old is Steven Tyler? Steven Tyler is 75? What?
Yeah.
He's older than Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I mean, it's only 2 years, but I don't know, man. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and Iggy Pop, dude, they look like, I mean, whew.
They look pretty rough. Yeah.
You know what's really sad? Have you seen pictures of Ozzy recently?
Oh, my man's decrepit.
Dude, Ozzy looks rough. It's sad. I mean, it's sad to see because I mean, when you think of rock and roll legends, Ozzy's up. I mean, Ozzy's one of those legendary people. But it's just kind of like my dad was a huge Ozzy fan, and he saw them a couple of times, and he he was like, he was just so wild. I think that's the thing is when you get into Black Sabbath, Iggy Pop, AC/DC, Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, all that stuff, I think they were so hard on themselves. That's why they look like the way they do now. And I'm not being judgy. I'm not saying judging the way they look. It's just I don't know.
No. If you put your body through the ringer, like, yeah, it's gonna show. Like, no doubt in my mind.
Did you ever see that interview where Steven Tyler was like, they were like, how much money have you spent drugs on in your life? And he just started laughing, and he was like, I don't know if I want to answer that question. And they were like, just ballpark it. And he was like, $7 million. And I was like, like what? $7 million on drugs in your lifetime? Like, do you know how much coke $7 million would buy you in a lifetime? It's funny. Like my dad actually, he saw the Rolling Stones. He saw the Rolling Stones live one year, and he said, this would have been probably in the 70s or the 80s, but he said it was the one concert he actually left. He said Mick was so drunk on stage, like he couldn't even like function. So he was like, he said the band that opened up for them was so much better. He stayed for the opening act, and when the Rolling Stones came out and they sucked, he was like, it's one concert. He was like, I actually walked out. Like, I was like, this sucks. And he laughed. How old is Mick Jagger?
Mick Jagger? I don't know, probably 120.
He's probably like 9,000.
See Rosalia's comment, the rolling kidney stones. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Mick Jagger's 79. Dude is almost 80. In July, he's going to be 80 years old.
And he's still doing concerts? Is that what's going on?
How about Keith Richards? Keith Richards is also 79, so he's the same age. Paul McCartney? Paul McCartney is 80. So Paul McCartney's 80. I don't think Paul McCartney did the same kind of drugs, though, as Iggy Pop and as Mick and as Steven Tyler and guys like that. Which Springsteen didn't do drugs either. I think, as far as I know, I don't know. But, I don't know. I don't know,
man.
It's a fun conversation.
Talking about old
Rosie said Steven and Mick are all lips now.
Oh my god!
It's funny when huge Green Day fan. When Green Day got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Iggy Pop was the one who inducted them, who introduced them, and who was up there with them or whatever. And if you go back and watch that induction ceremony, through it, he just slowly loses more and more clothes until he's shirtless. He's literally standing on stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, shirtless. And it's just funny. The rolling kidney stone.
That's what I was saying. It was so hilarious when I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
That's funny.
Yeah,
man. I don't know. It's just it's nuts. How did we get here? What are we doing right now? We were talking Freddy's Dead, and now we're talking.
You tell me.
I don't know. I could not retrace my steps to get back to where we are right now. I don't know. Whatever. But this,
We were talking about the beginning of Freddy.
We were,
and how he was how like in the dreams he was much better in these dream sequences. I'll say that in the first Freddy movie and in the final Freddy movie.
Yeah, one of the other things that we hadn't even touched on with this up to this point was we really haven't touched on much. So Freddy has killed pretty much every teenager in Springwood at this point. And
bro, my man literally wiped the thing clean. That's what I was saying.
He did. And while it's an interesting see you SBC Austin, we will see you on Saturday, man. I'll be sure we're gonna put that on TikTok. We're gonna tweet that link out, so we'll get you some publicity on that one. Thanks, man. What was I saying? Oh, the notion of having Freddy killing all of the teenagers in Springwood is cool. I like that concept. It's a cool concept, but it's almost odd, and it almost presents you with this idea of why wouldn't, like, if all of the children suddenly mysteriously died in this small town, I feel like the government would be like, something's wrong. Like,
Yeah.
something is very wrong here. This is not okay, you know? And it almost has a kind, it's kind of a big plot point almost. And one of the cool, it's kind of, again, a double-edged sword. This movie is a double-edged sword. It's cool seeing the adults have to deal with what happened, because you see adults are kind of losing their mind. We get the Roseanne Barr cameo when they first get to the fair, when they escape the place and they get to the fair, and people are just, it's just adults at the fair, which is, it's kind of sad almost, you know what I mean? It's sad to see adults to that point where they're so broken and they're so just kind of like mentally whack that it's just, they're just basically walking through their life. It's sad, really. But you know, it was kind of a cool plot point. It was a cool, I think it was almost a cooler idea than it was than what was executed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it makes sense in a way, and it kind of gives weight to what Freddy did. It gives more of a, it pushes us towards the direction of when he finally says about, but that's done now. When he says, I've killed everybody on Elm Street. I got my revenge, which I have, like I said earlier in the show, I've got thoughts on the whole Freddy's doing this for his daughter thing. But it gives a little bit more weight to this idea that he has done his job on Elm Street, and now he wants to go do that in other places too, when he says every town has an Elm Street, and his daughter's talking to him. But I think so you had that thing going on, which was kind of odd. But we get to this shelter for the youth, and we get to the main characters. One of the things about this film that I think is very, very interesting, and I think it's one of the things that it does well, it's probably my favorite aspect about the other characters, is the film is very much about abuse. Freddy was an abuser, and you see the effects of that with his daughter when she starts talking to him, and Maggie, that's her name. When Maggie starts interacting with Freddy, you see about how Freddy was an abuser in multiple different ways. But when we meet the other people, Spencer and Carlos and Tracy, we start to realize that they've all been abused somehow. You know what I mean? Spencer was abused by his father. Carlos was abused by his mother. He was deaf in the one ear because of his mother. Tracy, who was sexually abused. Tracy's whole moment with her when she sees her father is such a cool moment in this film. It's terrible. I mean, it's awful what happened to her, but there's a moment where she's standing in the kitchen, she's in Dream World, and Freddy presents himself as her father, and he kind of puts his hand on her shoulder, and he's like, "Give Daddy some lovin'," or something like that, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it's a Greta moment, like Greta in Part 5, where I actually feel bad for Greta. She's one of the few characters in the franchise that I really genuinely feel for because of her home life. And this is, I kind of feel for her because we see her dad being a weird sexual predator to her and sexually abusing her, putting his hand on her, trying to rub. He's trying to get some kind of sexual satisfaction from her. And it's disgusting. But that's when we see Freddy become her, and she battles Freddy in the kitchen stuff. So largely the film is about abuse, which I think was done well.
Well, I think they were trying to set the stage for because everything that they said, in regards to what they've been through, it was pretty much alluding to the fact of what Freddy is going to pretty much use to his advantage. Because every single one of those little backstories I got, and I was like, okay, I could see how Freddy's going to use the trauma that they have come from, the trauma that they had, and how Freddy's going to use it against them. And I could definitely see it. I could see it happening both ways, pretty much.
Right.
But
yeah. Well, and that goes back to the thing we've talked about throughout this franchise from the time we started, is Freddy uses your trauma and your fears against you in Dream World. Yes. And we get to see that here. We get to see the dude, the ear thing, his mom doing the ear thing, the Q-tip thing, and then when Freddy's dropping the pins, it's one of the coolest deaths of the entire franchise, honestly. You're right, the death scenes are pretty dope. There's
They're
some cool
pretty
death
rad.
scenes.
Yeah, they're pretty dope.
Yeah.
Even with the ones that are like, even with the ones that are like not as gruesome as you'd say, like they're pretty dope. I'll be honest. Like, who was it? Whichever one was it, was a video game death. Like that one really wasn't that gruesome of a death.
No,
it was, but it was still pretty rad to see it.
Yeah.
So,
my whole, I talked about this earlier. My gripe with the Freddy backstory thing is I don't think we needed to see him as a kid. I understand the Alice Cooper cameo. I understand why they showed the things that they showed his dad when he's
that's where we got
when he's whipping Freddy with the belt, and Freddy's laughing and stuff like that. And
that's where we diverged.
I mean, like I said, I understand why they did it. I don't know if it was necessary though. The best part of the film is Maggie trying to remember her past, and because it kind of does a switcheroo, because we think that Spencer is Freddy's son, and he doesn't remember because he's got amnesia at the beginning of the film. When we find him at the beginning of the film in the dream world, he's got amnesia. He doesn't remember who he is, and it's like, oh, this is Freddy's kid, because we're kind of alluding to that. And then there's the plot twist where we figure out, okay, Maggie is Freddy's child. And that's kind of we get that when they visit the orphanage. I think that was some of the best parts of this film, is this kind of slow discovery that Freddy has a child, and then
did you find it
the
weird
realization that Maggie is Freddy's kid when she finally confronts him, and there's that moment between the two of them where they're circling each other and things like that. That was one of my favorite aspects of Freddy's Dead. What were you gonna say?
Did you find it weird that he was like, it was still like a like every single kill he has was a soul transfer to him kind of thing? Like he was still getting powers from the people that he killed?
I don't think it's weird. I think that's happened all along. But again, it's one of those things. I don't need to see that. Like that. Just we've established since, I believe, part 2 or 3. It might have been in Dream Warriors. It's been established that that's a thing, that Freddy steals your soul. Your soul is Freddy's energy. That's the whole point of the original film, is when Nancy turns her back on him at the end of the first film, and she's like, I'm taking back all the energy I gave you. Like, I realize now, if I don't give you my fear, if I don't give you my energy, you can't do anything. Like, you mean nothing to me, So when she turns her back on him and he goes to jump for her and he just kind of falls through, that's him losing his power to Nancy. So I don't mind the fact that it's souls feeding Freddy's energy, but we didn't need to see that. Like, it's, again, seeing the soul actually transport into him, I'm like, I'm just flipping my bottle cap. I'm like, why did you show that? I didn't need to see that physically happening in order to be effective, So that's another example of, like, why did we have to actually show that to be effective?
Well, it was to show, like, I think it was just like one of those, like, oh, this would be a really dope, like, 3D moment. But then again, like, I don't remember. Obviously, I never saw this movie like in the theater, so I couldn't tell you when the 3D moments happened. But I feel
it was only at the end. It was like the last 10-15 minutes, I believe.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, they just switched to 3D at the end. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
And on the topic of the 3D thing, it's weird because it's like, it was before the technology was really there. So the fact that it was in 3D, it just didn't. I don't think it really did much for it. I know there's the physical. I mean, now it's kind of a retro thing. It's kind of a cool collector's thing. Like, there's the packaging, the DVD copy, the packaging that came with 3D glasses and things like that. But it just, I don't think it necessarily really added anything spectacular to the plot or to the film in general.
It made it feel like you were in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like out of movie.
Like, it took you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, like it took you out. Like, remember, guys, now we got to put our glasses on. Like, hey guys, remember those things that you had to pay, an extra $2 for, like when you walked in the theater? Well, guess what? Now we're gonna use it.
Yeah.
Like, this far into the fucking movie, I can. Yeah, it was one of those. It was, because how can I say this? it was one of those moments where I was like, you remember Spy Kids, like 3D Game Over, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like it was one of.
Where are you going with this?
It was one of those. It was that scene. He was like, now you put these glasses on and you enter the game, kind of thing. You remember that scene? And that was like us. It was time to put the glasses on, and then you're in the 3D world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like 3D. Like I remember when we were kids, like it was really dope for us to go do that. But now when you think back on it, it's the most. I can imagine adults back then. They're probably like, this is the most cheesiest thing fucking that I've ever seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the 3D Crave. I'll be honest.
I wasn't either, and I know it kind of ties into the plot as well, but I think here's the problem with rewriting his mythology. You can't. We've established enough up to this point that it's almost like this film, his mythology and backstory in this film renders some of that inaccurate or useless in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like they retconned the entire franchise.
Well, they didn't retcon. I don't know what I'm saying. They didn't retcon. I said it again. They didn't retcon all of it, but they retconned bits and
a good majority
pieces of it. So it's like, what did happen? What, like, Doc controlling his dreams? Is that a Dream Warriors thing where he's kind of like he can control what's happening?
Was he a Dream Warrior?
I don't know. It's just, it's odd, and it does it makes some strange choices. The whole Dream Demons thing, I wasn't really a fan of that. The little three
oh, I knew you were
like the
those
things that go in and out of him. I didn't like that at all. I thought
did you not like
stupid idea.
Did you not like the idea that whenever they were finally going to burn Freddy, like those people come out of nowhere and they're like, we can give you the power to have your revenge or whatever?
Yeah, it almost makes it less cool. And the way it was shot, the CGI looked abysmal. It was
that was another thing.
It was just
like
terrible.
The 3D was abysmal towards the actual, like, how can I say this? For the 3D to work, they use these terrible special effects, like the three demon heads kind of swirling around. Yeah,
it was already a stupid idea to begin with, but when it's three little swimming skulls with a tail, like a tadpole, it's kind of like it's basically three little demon tadpoles that are just like,
I was gonna say,
do you want eternal life? And they fly into him, and then that's it. And it's just like, I think back and I'm like, that makes it so much less cool. You know what I mean? Like, they almost could have done a cool crossover thing, and like if Pinhead would have come out as Freddy's burning and dying and been like, do you want a second chance or something like that, or do you? Want,
did someone say in the comments that too?
Well, that was almost in Freddy vs. Jason. That would have been cool. Like, if could you, like, as Freddy is burning and dying, as the parents are like throwing the Molotov cocktails and stuff inside of the boiler room. It would have been so dope if Pinhead would have came out of just like walked out of the fire calmly and been like, given Freddy his power. That would have been sick. Like, I would have preferred them do something like that than the three little ghost tadpole things that come out, because it looks stupid. It sounds stupid. That moment I was talking about. That moment I was talking about earlier with Doc, when he's cutting his fingers off like he did with Tina in the original film, and he's like, they tried to do this, they tried to do that, they tried to do this, blah, blah, blah. And when he's like, the dream people saved me and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, who are the dream
okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, why are we doing this? Like, why? You couldn't have come up with anything better than that, But it just, even at the end when they fly out of him and they just kind of like swirl around the screen and then go away, it's like, why? But I don't understand. Like, why did that have to be the thing that gave him his power? You could have just said it came from a demon. Like, that would have been fine. But tadpoles? Really?
Yeah. I'm following.
And then, of course, we get back to the original thing where it's like, if I bring him out of the dream, I can kill him. And it's like, bro, they've tried that a million times and it didn't work. But then suddenly this time it works for whatever reason.
That too, yeah.
So,
and honestly, I feel like they were trying to, like, instead of retconning everything, they try to like tie everything up into a bow, and it was not working whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were really harping on with the Dream Warrior stuff. Like the Dream Warrior stuff was working really well, so let's do it. And then they decided to end it on that note. But I don't know, it still did not hit the mark for a lot of people. I'll be honest. So
It didn't. The ending of the film is just.
it felt
It's
like
terrible. It's awful. It's a terrible ending for this character.
yes. If okay, so imagine this: we got no Freddy versus Jason, we got no Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and we did not get any Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010s.
That sounds awful.
Do you think that this franchise would have been as popular now if they just ended up with Freddy's Dead? Because you gotta understand, he was the pinnacle of New Line cinema.
Yes, I do. I think it still would have been as popular. But I think
it would have just turned into a cult.
Would have been a little bit more soured. I think it would have been I think it would have been a little more cult classic-ish and less mainstream classic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I that's what I think. I mean, I don't know for sure. That's hard to say. That's a hard one, but I think it would have been less mainstream and more cult classic-ish.
I'd agree.
That's kind of my thoughts on it. But you know, let's just talk about the ending scene because I'm there physically, and mentally, emotionally, whatever. I think the idea is first of all, they're in this place. They're supposed to be in this shelter for troubled youth and whatever else.
God.
And
yes,
there's the armory and there's like baseball bats, like there's Lucille's down there, like in The Walking Dead, and there's poles with rebar with nails sticking out. I'm like, what? Like, what is this?
I was thinking at the time, I was like, hey, yo, for people that have like traumatic experience and are mentally like not okay.
Yeah, mentally ill people, you're gonna take them to a place with an armory underneath.
Yeah,
like, that's just dumb. Again, zero thought, stupid. But but we get to the end. She finally pulls him out of the dream, and it just. I don't know. It just kind of feels like it stops. Like it's stupid. The way she the fight scene is stupid. The way she blows him up is stupid. Sticking the dynamite in when he puts on the glove and he's like, "How does it feel? Let Daddy teach you how to use it." Stuff like that. I'm like, I was
cringing so hard with that. I'm not gonna lie.
Shut up! Like it's so dumb. Like it's at like the franchise. That right there is the lowest point in the franchise for me because I'm just like, this is not.
It was kind of disgusting considering the backstory of him too. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just it's gross. You know what I mean? Rosie said, "Where would I rank this one? Last." Last. That's honestly that's where I would rank that one. You know. Also said, "Do you own this franchise on physical media?" I do. I own the whole franchise. I own a DVD box set from the early.
Do you really?
I guess it would have been 2010. Yeah, I own a DVD box set. I need to get it on Blu-ray. I have Halloween on Blu-ray. I have all the Halloweens on Blu-ray. I have all of the Friday the 13th on Blu-ray. I do not have Elm Street on Blu-ray, and I need to do that. That's on the list.
We could change.
Hopefully that'll happen in the next few months. But yeah, it's a terrible ending. I mean, the whole hand-to-hand thing is ridiculous. When they're fighting, she stabs him with his own glove, which is kind of a cool concept. But it just the bomb thing, the pipe bomb into his chest, is just like I'm like. And then the way it ends, he blows up. This is the ending of one of the all-time great horror franchises. She sticks him with a pipe bomb. Okay.
Where did that come from?
Exactly. Where the hell did we get? How did we get there? She sticks him with a pipe bomb.
There's more questions on where that pipe bomb came from.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, shelter for troubled youth. Pipe bombs are in the basement. She sticks him with a pipe bomb. He blows up. We get the dream tadpoles flying around the screen. They go away. Freddy's head comes out, explodes. And then it just zooms in on her and Doc, and she just goes, Freddy's dead. Cut to credits, and it's just like
all sorts of cringe.
What? That's the that oh, like if I like I don't know, it's so disappointing and it's so anticlimactic, and it's almost like they thought, oh crap, we got to end this somehow. Like how do we end this thing? And then it's just like Freddy's dead, cut. Like then that's it. There's
I
no.
mean,
It's so odd and it's so abrupt, and it's just like where do we what? How did we get to this?
I'll say this. Yeah, the ending of Freddy's Dead definitely seemed way too abrupt. It seemed way too quick. It almost seemed more like a TV special than it did an actual movie. If that made sense.
Yeah, bits and pieces of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I would agree with that. The ending,
Yes.
especially. Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt like
and
a scene out of Freddy's Nightmares.
Mm-hmm. And it also felt like one of those like epilogue kind of things, kind of like how the previous movie seemed like enough for it to be an end, and this is just like a side story that they were just like, we gotta
Yeah.
have something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a terrible ending, and it's just not. It's
a
not
terrible
good.
movie.
The whole movie isn't terrible, but I don't know. It just as an ending to a very successful franchise, to the king of 80s horror.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do it for me. It's my least favorite film in the entire franchise. It just I don't know. It's not good.
No.
It's just not, and again, I don't mind seeing Fred. Like I didn't mind the stuff like seeing Robert Englund killing the wife. That was fine. I don't mind seeing that. There were some cool callbacks to the original films and to the rest of the franchise, and even seeing the rest of the films in the credits. When she says Freddy's dead and the credits roll, and you see all the other films and bits and pieces of them playing. We see like the Welcome to Primetime thing. We see.
I
Bits and
thought that was a
pieces
pretty
from,
cool homage.
the when he's coming out of Grady and Freddy's dead, and he's like coming out of the skin and stuff like that's kind of cool. It was a cool homage to the franchise, but I just think as a capper to the franchise, it's not very good. It didn't do a very great job. Now, that's not to say that there aren't cool bits and pieces in it, that there's not some cool Freddy things in it, but largely it falls very, very flat on its face for me.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say like if like I said, if you were to make this just like the final movie that Freddy had, and you made nothing afterwards, I feel like that would have left a sour taste
yes.
in the mouth of a lot of fans.
Yes.
That are fans of Freddy, and especially horror. For it to be like an icon of that caliber, and for it to end like that, it'd be very bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a very, very strange one. But I mean, please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare? Again, for me, it's probably the lowest point in the entire franchise for me. And that's not to say it doesn't have its moments. It just, as a conclusion to the character, which again, it wasn't really the conclusion because we had New Nightmare, we had the remake, things like that. There were things after that, but there wasn't we haven't had a resurgence of Freddy. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I know the Wes Craven estate, at least the rumor was that they were taking pitches for a new film. So hopefully we'll get some Freddy here in the new future. I know Michael's kind of been king right now because of the Blumhouse trilogy and all of that stuff going on. But hopefully we get some Freddy in the future, because I'm looking forward to it.
With the reboot era, we're getting there.
We are. So hopefully we'll be there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been an absolute blast of a stream. A couple of things coming up. So we will tackle the Elm Street remake, and we will tackle Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We may flip those. I'm not 100% sure yet, based on some special guests we may or may not have. But we'll talk about that later. Speaking of special guests, we are going to be special guests on SPC Bird 3171993. Austin is his name. We're going to be special guests on his channel next Saturday. I believe that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll have to double check. Follow us on social media. Our stuff is all right there, and I'll tweet all of that out again. I'll throw that on the channel as well. But we're gonna be special guests on his show, talking all things Resident Evil. That's gonna be an absolute blast. Yes, and we'll be back this week as well. We'll be back a few times this week to some other things. I've got some stuff I want to film because again I'm on spring break, so I'll film some stuff. I know the Secret Invasion trailer just dropped. We've got some other things we want to do. And if you haven't already, please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at LTM Podcast KY. We're going to be posting some new things on TikTok as well. We're going to try and lean into that just in time for TikTok to be canceled, but that's okay. We'll say we at least started it, you know.
Maybe I'll get it.
But please follow us on social media. We're trying to be more active on those things. So thank you all so much for joining us each and every week. New episodes of our shows premiere every single week at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at LTM Podcast KY. And we're so excited for the next few months of this channel. And we love you guys so much.
We're excited.
Ooh, we're ready. Okay, let's go.
God.
Here we go, guys. See you later. Peace.
Bye.